Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're talking about knives for kids. Yes, you heard me correctly. Knives for kids. So to kind of start the conversation off, this knife that we see here was my first ever pocket knife. I got this when I was about 7 years old, and I guess you could say it started my EDC journey. Ooh, crunchy guy. Kinds of stuff falling out of him. But, so yeah, this was my first ever pocket knife. And I enjoyed it for a long, long time. And even when I started getting other knives, I usually carried this one around as kind of a backup knife. Even back then, even as a youngster, I knew the benefits of backup knives. Tweezers that are all bent to crap. A toothpick that I don't think I ever used. It always seemed kind of gross to me. So this was my first pocket knife, and I feel like a lot of us kind of started here as kids with knives like this. I guess whatever business this is getting a free shout out. I doubt they're still in business, but there they are. Maybe they are. Don't be so much of a downer, Gideon. But I feel like a lot of us started here as kids. Is this the best first pocket knife for a kid, though? Well, that's what we're going to try and discuss here. So there's three things that I think you need to take into consideration when you're thinking about a knife for a kid. So, the number one consideration is not safety. You might have thought that the number one consideration would be safety. No. If safety is the number one consideration, give them a plastic butter knife from a play set or something, because that's taking safety into consideration. Number one, they will have a hard time hurting themselves with that. But a knife itself is a tool, and tools aren't always safe, for lack of a better word. So safety is not our number one consideration. Our number one consideration is that it's a good knife. You know, you just because they're a kid doesn't mean you want to give them crap. You know, you want a blade that will cut well. You want a strong construction. And you want a handle that fits their hand, that feels ergonomic and comfortable. Right? You want a well-made knife. Just like an enthusiast, an adult, wants a well-made knife, a kid also deserves to have a well-made knife. There is nothing that will ruin your experience with pocket knives more than carrying a piece of crap. So, number one consideration, it needs to be a quality knife that performs well. Number two consideration is safety. We'll go ahead and list safety. Locks are wonderful, wonderful things. I remember being in Boy Scouts and being a kid, and everyone was like, oh no, you can't have a locking knife, you need a Swiss Army knife type thing. I cannot tell you how many times as a kid I cut myself nearly to the bone with slip joint knives because they don't lock. And when you're a kid, you don't really have the finest motor skills. And so I remember one time at a scout camp, oh, and this makes me cringe to this day, I was whittling something. And, everything was going good, I thought. And I slipped because, like this Swiss Army knife was about this big around. My hand was like, I was holding it like this. I slipped. And at first I didn't think anything was wrong, so I keep cutting. And then I noticed that there's blood everywhere. And what happened is I'd slipped and just cut right through my thumb right there. And do I still have the scar? Yeah, I do. I wonder if you guys can see that. Not sure if you can see that right there. But anyways, yeah, that was a pretty bad cut. And I also remember having friends, folding their knife, and once they got past the half stop, if the slip joint had it, and then that knife slamming closed in their fingers, like they'd be closing it like this, and then whack. Yeah, locks are great things. If I'm getting a knife for a kid, I want to have a lock because I want that knife to be safe to use. Obviously, like we already said, a knife is never going to be 100% safe. There's always a chance you're going to cut yourself. Heaven forbid you may injure someone else, but you want to make it as safe as possible. And that's another reason I think that laws prohibiting locking knives in certain jurisdictions are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I did a presentation my freshman year of college. I was in a communications class. And I gave a presentation on why 99% of knife laws are stupid and ineffective. And one of the things I remember saying that got a little bit of a round of applause from a couple of kids was I was talking about knife locks. And I said banning a lock on a knife is like banning hard hats in a work zone. A lock is a safety feature. It's not there to make your knife better at stabbing people. It's there to protect you as the user. So I think that's a very important feature to have on a kid's knife. A locking knife will go a long, long way. The last thing I want to talk about is ease of use and long-term utility. And what this means is I want a knife, if you're going to give a knife to a kid, it has to be easy to use, easy to maintain, and I think it should grow with them. You don't want, like this knife. I mean, I guess it was fine for little kid me, but I would never carry it now. It just doesn't really fit my hand. And so if you're going to get a knife for your child, if you're going to get a knife for your kid or nephew, or please just don't go around handing knives to random kids at Walmart. I don't support that. But if you're going to get a knife for a child, it should be something that can grow with them a little bit, so that as they get older, it'll still function for them. And I guess that kind of brings us to a good question. What is the right age to give a knife to a kid? I think around 8 or 9 is a good age to get them started. I feel like, they're starting to, when you're 8 or 9, you think you're a big kid, and so you want to try and act like one, show your parents you're responsible and stuff. Of course, you're still an idiot, and you will make mistakes, and you will absolutely take your knife and throw it at trees because you think you're cool. But, I think that's a good age to kind of get them started. So, you want a knife that'll grow with the kid. So I'm going to bring out this knife and just set it down. So those are kind of the 3 main parameters I want to try and meet. Now let's talk about some specific knives for kids. One thing is budget knives. Budget knives. Because again, a kid is probably going to do something stupid with it at one point. Don't give them a Shirogorov, obviously. So, budget knives, nice knives. I actually think that a lot of brands such as Ganzo are actually great for this, because you can get a knife for like $20 that's well made, and they will probably get used to it. So, one knife that I think is a great kid's knife is the Kershaw Cryo. And not particularly this version. This is a Blade HQ exclusive with D2 steel, but the regular ones have 8CR steel. That's a great steel. It'll be easy for them to learn to sharpen, and teaching your kid to sharpen will benefit them in the long run. But the other reason I like this knife is because it's assisted. Wait, what? You think an assisted knife is a good knife for a kid? Yes, absolutely. And here's why. There are times with a manual flipper, and when you're a kid, we already talked about, you don't really have all that much dexterity. Your motor skills may not be, completely dialed in. Your hand strength may not be that developed. But, if you're with a manual knife and you flip it and it doesn't open all the way, what's a kid going to do? They're going to wrist flick it open. And then they could lose a grip on it and throw it into their friend's chest or something, in Boy Scouts, you're supposed to have the blood circle, don't let anyone in your blood circle while you're using your knife. Well, if you throw it out of your blood circle, and you stick Jimmy, it's kind of your fault. Jimmy was outside your blood circle. But the other thing too is sometimes, you'll flick a knife and it'll open to where you think it's locked up, and they'll go to use it, and lo and behold, it's not locked, and oops, there's a Band-Aid and possibly stitches. What I like about an assisted knife is you don't really have to get a good flip on that flipper tab, and it'll lock up solid. It'll lock up solid. An assist kind of takes the human error element out of a flipper or thumb stud knife, and it opens it up, it locks it up solidly, and you're good to go. And the other reason I like an assist is because it encourages two-hand closing. So if you close a knife, you know, a kid will use two hands, and that's a lot safer than, you know, now me as a big boy adult, you know, obviously I can use one hand and, you know, I can get my other knives and, you know, do all kinds of cool stuff like that. And let's be honest, how many of us have been sitting there on the couch flicking our knife, you know, doing this, that, and the other, and then we're like, oh, shoot, I just cut off my thumbnail. It happens, right? Even if you're an adult, it happens. So, promoting a two-hand closing, I think, is great. So, assisted knives are excellent for kids. And the Kershaw Cryo in general, it's a small knife, so it's going to fit a kid's hand. But, you know, me as an adult, I don't find it, you know, I don't have the biggest hands, and I'm kind of falling off the end, but it's still usable for me, right? Another knife I'd recommend for a kid is the Rat 2. Although not in D2 steel. D2 steel, you know, you have the rust issue, it's a little bit harder to sharpen, but the Rats in AUS 8 are great knives for kids. You can get the Model 2, which is smaller. I think it'll work just fine. Again, it'll grow with the kid. It's a very safe knife to use. It's a very easy knife to use. You know, it's locking like we talked about. So yeah, I think that's another fantastic option. The other thing, too, is you may not want to get your kid something that's, like, you know, looks super mean and aggressive and stuff, because, you know, then they'll think they're a ninja, and they're not. You know, stick with simple things. Stick with you know, friendly-looking knives. And another thing to stick with, blade shape, go drop point. Go drop point all day, every day. Don't go Tonto, don't go clip point, don't go sheep's foot, Wharncliffe. Well, maybe sheep's foot, certain types of sheep's foot. No, don't go sheep's foot or Wharncliffe. Go drop point, maybe spear pointy things, because it's a very useful shape for all types of different tasks. It's not going to really limit them in any way, and it's an easy shape to sharpen. So I think it's a great starter blade shape. You know, keep it simple. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. And that applies for kids especially. Speaking of KISS, I had a math teacher in high school. He taught us calculus and trigonometry. And the first day he got there, he went to the board and he wrote KISS. And shout out to you, Mr. Jose Antonio Lopez, in case you're watching. But he told us, he got there, he told us, you know, you've all heard about KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. He said, in this class, we have keep it simple substitute. And a couple weeks into class, he had this kid up on the board, at the board, solving this equation, and he was just doing everything wrong. And Mr. Lopez walks up, KISS! And the kid's like, ugh. And so Mr. Lopez grabs the marker, the dry erase board, he goes and he adds another S at the end of KISS. The kid's like, what's that? Keep it simple, substitute, stupid! And so, his class was fun. He used to throw things at kids. Anyways, so, there's a couple of the things that I would give to a kid as their first time knife. And, you know, we're talking a young kid. Some things to kind of avoid. I would avoid frame locks unless it's an assisted knife because, you know, getting your finger on the frame lock, you know, and locking yourself out. Yeah. I would avoid non-stainless steels. I would avoid powder metallurgy steels, you know, that are harder to sharpen, or D2, you know, it's an ingot steel, but it's fairly hard to sharpen. Nothing fancy. Just, in fact, in a lot of ways, I think the Civi Elementum is an excellent kid's knife, even though it's in D2. If it was a 9CR, it would be like the best kid's knife. Like, get everyone's kid one of these. But, you know, neutral ergos, it'll grow with the kid. It's got a good blade, good handle. It's a budget knife. It's well built. Yeah, just really, really cool. So, obviously, I'm talking about, a kid's first knife when they're, 8, 9, 10, 11, things like that. Once you get to be an older kid, 13, 14, 12, obviously, we all remember being that age. You start to develop your own tastes, your own kind of preferences. And so then, if you've had a good basis with pocket knives when you were younger, and now you know how to take care of them, kind of what you like and stuff, it gives you a lot of freedom to branch out and find a knife that really works best for you. And then you can buy your own knife as a kid. I'm saying you, like I'm talking to a bunch of 13, 14, 15-year-olds watching this, but my channel analytics say that 95% of my viewers are actually older than I am. So, and then the other 5% of my viewers are my age. So, you guys know who I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking to you guys. But I can sit here and I can talk all day about what makes the best kid's knife. But like I said, kids aren't just little meat robots. They have their own preferences and styles and tastes. So I went ahead and kidnapped 2 kids. I'm holding them hostage in my basement, and we're going to go ahead and ask them about their thoughts on pocket knives. Let's do it. All right, so here's the 2 children I kidnapped. I told them if they help me with this, I'll feed them in the basement their first meal. So we have a couple of knives laying down here. Let's go ahead and show those off real quick. So there's what we've got. And so what I want to ask you two, if you were going to carry one of these knives around, I'm making a video about knives for kids, and you two are children. Mm-hmm. So, of these, which one would you pick? I figured kids would know best what kids like, huh?
Yeah, probably this one.
Okay.
It looks cool.
What about you?
This one, I guess.
Okay. Why'd you choose that one?
I like how the handle looks, and it feels pretty cool.
Okay, and you chose that one, why?
And I can open it.
Well, I mean, that one is nice, but this one is a little more simple. I feel like it'd just be easier to carry.
Okay. So both of you kind of went for the, it looks cool, or for you it looks simple and looks easy to carry? Okay, cool. So, what about the deployment method? You both chose knives that have flipper tabs and holes. Did that play any part in it?
I usually like using a flipper tab.
Okay, so you like flipper tabs?
This one doesn't work too well.
It's a pretty big knife for your tiny hands. You like flipper tabs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't use these at all.
Okay.
So. I can use them.
Hey, look at that! Wow, I hope we got that on video. His first ever Spidey flick.
Yeah, I can use that.
You did it again.
You know?
Here, go. Show to the camera.
Wow.
Good job.
Yeah, I've actually never done it before until today.
I cannot do this.
Okay, so you also you chose a pretty big knife.
Yeah, I like how it looks.
You like how it looks? Does this one fit your hand better? This kind of smaller one?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And so both of those were also manual knives. So this one's an assisted knife. What do you think about that one compared to that knife? Come over here, just frame. There you go, bud. You can thumb set it, or it has a flipper tab.
I don't know. It's a good size.
Mm-hmm. Do you like the assist, or do you prefer the manual?
I don't really have a preference. They're both good.
No preference, okay. What about you?
What's this here? I'm not sure where to mark that.
Just anywhere.
There's not really much difference, in my opinion.
What about on the closing?
On the closing? Well, on closing, I definitely prefer manual. That's...
The manual closing is easier?
Yeah, I prefer
So you guys prefer the one-handed closing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's tilt back up here. So these are my 2 brothers, in case you guys didn't figure it out. And I asked my parents before I could kidnap them. So both of them are about a decade younger than me, give or take a little bit for each. And both of you had birthdays this summer. And I was kind of busy with work and stuff, so I kind of missed most of the partying and things. And I also didn't get you guys any presents. But, how old did you turn?
14. That's
14, so you're kind of a big kid. And you?
12.
12, so also a big kid. Well, I got you guys birthday presents now.
Hmm.
Go ahead and open those up and let me know what you think. And another thing I was going to bring up that's interesting about you is you're a southpaw, aren't you?
What?
You're lefty, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is this a left-handed knife?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something? Oh.
So, that might take a little bit of getting used to for you.
It probably
Did you
will.
get the flick on that one too?
Yes.
Hey!
Hey, and it's his favorite color.
Maybe I can do it again. Nope. Not
Oh,
again.
you'll get it again. Come on. Go for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. And so that one might take you a little bit of getting used to. But until then, I mean, you can close it with two hands.
Okay.
The pocket clip is left-handed, and this lock, of course, is accessible for left or right hand. You can open it like that or like that.
Okay.
And I figured both of these would kind of be your guys' size preference.
Yeah.
Although, I guess you guys just went for the biggest one here on the table when we first got here. So maybe
Well, I have
not.
bigger hands than him. So
Yes, you do have bigger hands.
by like 4 inches. So yeah.
Yeah. By quite a bit.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for your help with the video. I did want to ask one thing. What do you guys think about these little slip joint knives? We have a Swiss Army knife, and we have a little 2-blade trapper. Like them or don't like them?
I kind of like Swiss Army knives.
You kind of like a Swiss Army knife? Would you want to carry one every day as your only knife?
Not really. Sometimes the knives can be a little bit blunt.
They do go
that's
dull,
true,
very
yeah.
easy. That's an astute observation. What do you think about the slip joint non-locking type thing?
I feel like it's not quite as reliable, I would say. Like you guys said, it goes dull a lot faster than others.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think about the not having a lock?
again, I feel like it's just more reliable to have a lock.
Yeah.
Look, both of you guys are getting off screen.
Sorry.
So I'm back.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Alrighty. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
gonna be a wrap on this video.
Thank you.
Oh, and you're welcome for those too. So, okay, do you guys know my outro?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh
here.
yeah, I do actually. I do. Yeah.
You do? Okay, I'm gonna start us off, and you guys can help me. Okay, so thank you for watching.
I've been Gideon.
I'm Gideon.
You're Gideon. Okay, well that's what you usually say.
Oh, okay, yes. I've been Gideon. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to.
I don't know everything about it.
Like and subscribe.
This is the longest outro I've ever filmed. Look, all the goats had to come, and the dog had to come and help you memorize your lines. Okay, we ready?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Thanks for watching. I've been Gideon.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Adios.
Sweet.